Today we are making a 4-petal flower like this here that you can use for a whole lot of different projects, like scarves or shawls or blankets or baby things or cushions, whatever you come up with. The size of your flower of course depends on your yarn and hook. This here is worsted weight and a hook 4 millimeters. My favorite hooks, check out in the description. This here is crochet thread and I used a tiny hook 1.75 millimeter. So it's this much smaller. So you need 3 colors for each: the center, the main flower, and then the bordering. If you are making them all in different colors, then you can also use leftover yarn like that there. The yarns don't need to be exactly the same, but they need to be more or less the same weight. You might also want to use 4 stitch markers, because that will make it easier to know exactly where the top picot goes, but not necessary. Or you can use little pieces of yarn instead of stitch markers. Let's see how we make it. I'm using the blue yarn for the center of it. Start with a slip knot and then chain 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And join it into a ring using a slip stitch. And then chain 3. These replace the first double crochet in here, and I'm using American crochet terms. Double crochet is treble in British terms, and you need to make 11 double crochets in here into the ring. And you have a bit less work if you leave the tail into the stitches. So a double crochet into the ring. And directly another one, no chains in between. So you make 11 of these. And you may need to sort of tighten, move them a bit so that you fit the 11 into it here, and then join it using a slip stitch at the top of the 3 chains you had in the beginning here. So now we have 12 stitches in this here, and we won't be using this yarn again, so you can cut it and actually fasten it off. Even though we had this here inside the stitches, I would still pass some of it again so it doesn't come loose. It makes it easier if you finish off the yarn here now. Here, and then this here surface stitching will be done at the very end. So now we start with this here. First we make the loops that we put the stitches into. So take this centerpiece, make sure it's the right way around so that the stitches are towards you. Take your other yarn and insert the hook into any of the stitches and pull the yarn through. Then chain 1 just for the attaching and a single crochet in that same stitch. And now we'll do the first of those 4 longer loops. Chain 12, chain 12. And then a single crochet in that same stitch where we had the previous one. And 3 more single crochets in those next stitches. 2 and 3. And then again chain 12. And a single crochet in that same stitch. And again 3 more. and then do the same twice more. So chaining 12 and then the stitches and then one more, and we'll look at it at the end of the round. I'm getting towards the end of the round so that I have done the last of the loops and then attached it there, and then I have 2 more stitches here, and we always had 4, but the last one's already there. So then a slip stitch at the start there, like this, and then we go around each of these. First 2 single crochets, then 2 half double crochets, so which means that you pull through straight away there, 2, and then 2 double crochets, and I'll pull this a bit tighter so we get enough room for the stitches. And then we need 7 trebles, and the middle one of them, the 4th one, is the one where we need to put the stitch marker in. So treble 2 yarn overs, first one, second one. By the way, if any time in my video or anybody else's video something goes too fast, remember that it's easy to slow a video down. Third one, and 4th, and then the stitch marker here. There, so I know which one is the middle one. And then the other side the same but in the opposite order. So we have 3 more trebles to do. And then 2 double crochets. Then 2 half double crochets. And 2 single crochets. Like that there. And then here, insert the hook in the middle of these stitches here and make 1 single crochet there. And then we continue the other one exactly the same. So all the 4, do them the same way. So this is it. And at the end I used a slip stitch to finish off. And actually I'm going to weave this yarn end in before continuing. It's easier to work that way. And then we are going to go around it using single crochets plus making these picots at the points. And I'm also showing a couple of ways you can attach these together already on the last round after you have several of them made. Then take your new yarn and any of these points or rings or whatever they are, and insert your hook into the stitch that you had marked. So that's the middle stitch. And attach the yarn there. And then start going around using single crochets. Mostly 1 into each stitch, but both on this side and this side you need to increase once, otherwise it's starting to pull. So after you have 2 or 3 done, doesn't matter exactly where, but somewhere here, make 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, like that. And then keep going, and then we'll look at how we do that there, where we move to the next one. Continue until you get closer to the center, and then when you have just one left here, insert your hook there and pull up a loop, but don't continue there, and then go into the middle of there as well, and in the stitch in the next one there. So now you have 4 loops altogether on your hook, and take the yarn and pull through all of them at one time. So it makes sort of a tight stitch there. And then continue using single crochets. And when you are coming closer to the center of it, then 2 in 1 stitch to increase. And continuing, and now I'm in that stitch that I have marked. I remove the stitch marker and then chain 3. And after the chains, go back in that same stitch and do a single crochet there as well. So there's a little picot there, and then continue just the same. After these few 2 stitches and so on. Continuing there. And here again, there's just 1 left. So a stitch there, and there, and there. And then pull through all of them. And then continue just the same. When you are working on the first one, you continue the same. But when you have more of them done, you can use the last round also to attach another motif to this. And there are actually a couple of ways. I'll show one on this here one now. Again, 2 stitches in there. And this is, remove that. And this is the top. So I could now attach this to the point of another one right here. So I chain 1, and then I take another one and put it the wrong way round against this one, and insert the hook into any of the points and make a stitch there, and then chain 1 and come back again into that same stitch. So that attached these 2 at the corner. Now you can attach them just at the corners like this here, and I think that's something that I would do, because then it doesn't attach them too tightly. But it's also possible that you want to attach a little bit more, so that you make a couple of stitches, 2 or 3 stitches, joining these as well. I'll show that now, but then I'll actually undo it. So you continue like this, so that they are the wrong sides towards each other. And then while you continue the border here, then also pass through one side of the stitch there. So the first loop that comes on the other side. And then make a stitch there. And then the next one you could do the same. Like this here. And maybe even one more. But this is the idea, that you join them like this here, if you want them joined more. And then when you come to the next one, again, then 2 or 3 before you come to the middle. But I'm not actually doing those, so I undo those stitches there and leave just at their point. And then I continue exactly as before, and when I come to the next one, I'll join again. So now I'm at the top of the next one, so I'm going to join that to that again. I'm already at the stitch that I had marked, and I'm chain one and go and get the other one, and a single crochet there, chain one, and then continue in that same stitch again there, and so on. And then I continue till the end. Now I have gone right round, and the last stitch is in the same one where I started, and then just chain 3 and close it off with a slip stitch, and then cut the yarn. And then we just have this here middle bit to do. So now the surface stitches around this here bit. So take the yarn, insert the hook through any of the stitches here at where the colors change, and get the yarn and pull it here, but leave the working yarn under your work, but keep the hook on this side. And then insert the hook in the next stitch and get the yarn and pull it straight through. And the next one in there, get the yarn. So just making big stitches around here. There. This is actually something I use a lot. I love surface stitching of any sort. So you go right round each stitch like that. This is quite easy to do when you have a small piece you are working on. It's harder if you have like I've done this on large scarves, for instance, and blankets. So right across the circle there. Now I'm finished, and then cut the yarn, and to get it looking so that you don't see actually where you started that, pull it straight through here, so no extra stitches there. And then when you take a needle, go into the start of the next stitch here, like that, and tighten, so it looks neat like that, and then you need to tighten the other one as well. So that's it done. Now it's a bit wobbly like that there compared to the one that I had already finished, or the other ones. So heavy rain at the moment, you might actually hear it through my mic. How you block them depends on your material. So if it's real wool like mine, or if it's cotton or something that can take an iron, you could steam from a distance, definitely not touch it, but steam from above. Or you can simply wet them and shape them and let them dry. And check out also this playlist for other crochet motifs I have. Until next time,